Hi everybody, this is Delegate Todd Gilbert talking to you from Richmond this morning. I want to tell you a little bit about what's going on down here. Of course, the big news this week is our budget. The House and Senate both came out with versions of the state's budget, which are much different than the budget that Governor Kane presented us with before he left office. I wanted to take just a minute to educate you a little bit if you don't know about how our budget process works. At the end of the year, the governor comes out with his 2-year budget plan, and this is the budget year. This is the year we deal with the state's 2-year biennial budget. And Governor Kane presented us with a budget before he left office that as I said, is much different than the budget we have before us today. As soon as he presented us with the budget, our House Appropriations Committee went to work on making changes to that budget, as did the Senate Finance Committee. And then last Sunday, we were able to present the House version of the budget to the public. Now, the budget crisis that we find ourselves in right now is really what's driving the entire legislative process this session. We've got, depending on who you talk to, around a $4 billion budget hole, and that's significant for Virginia's budget. Those of you that know me know I talk a lot about how our budget has grown over the years. It took nearly 400 years for Virginia's budget to get up to $30 billion, and it only took another 10 years for our budget to double to more than $60 billion. Now we have a budget of around $75 billion. And it's significant, the investments that you as a taxpayer make in your state government. So when we found ourselves in this budget crisis, I saw it as an opportunity for us to refocus on the core issues of government, things that are most important to you, things that are most important for us to do for our fellow Virginians in an effort to make our society a better place. The situation here, as I mentioned, is pretty bad. The chairman of our Appropriations Committee, Lacey Putney from Bedford County, has been in the General Assembly for nearly 50 years. He's among the most respected members of this body. He says it is the worst he has ever seen it in his 49 years here in Richmond. And when he says that, that's very striking to us, those of us who have not been here for very long, and we take him at his word because he would know. So with the situation being as bad as it was, and the economic situation overall being as bad as it is, we did not feel that it was appropriate to do as Governor Kane suggested, leave you with the additional tax burdens of nearly $950 million in unfunded personal property relief. So in our budget, the House of Delegates actually restored $950 million in local tax relief, which if it had not been funded would have amounted to a tax increase on you. And we were very proud that we were able to stand by the General Assembly's commitment to you as the taxpayer for personal property tax relief. We also defeated unanimously Governor Kane's proposal to impose a 1% local income tax to make up for the shortfall that would have resulted from that. That was a 97-0 vote against Governor Kane's proposal in the House of Delegates. Now, over the past few years, we've seen approximately 20 to 30% reductions, because we have been in this crisis for a few years now. In the past couple of years, 20 and 30% reductions to public safety and higher education. We have left harmless, in large part, things such as public education and health and human services. We've tried very hard to avoid making cuts to those areas. But because we find ourselves in this budget crisis of nearly $4 billion in shortfall, it is inevitable that we have to take a hard look at things like public education and health and human services as ways to make up the budget crisis. You should know that over the past decade, we have increased spending in public education by nearly 70%. And that is a huge investment in our children, in our future. Enrollments have only grown by about 7.5% statewide. So the investments we have made in public education have far outpaced actual enrollment increases in inflation. Those of us that believe strongly in public education believe that we should commit valuable resources as a core service of government to educating our children and ensuring a bright future for Virginia. But with the budget shortfall we have right now, it is unavoidable that public education is going to have to trim and continue to refocus their own mission on what is most important, which is educating our children and figuring out ways to do that creatively. Now, we have given public education administrators around the state significant flexibility through many different ways that I won't bore you with right now, but we have given them additional flexibility with state mandates in ways that we've required them to spend their money in an effort to give them the ability to make up some of the shortfall that they're going to face. We did our best to avoid further cuts to areas like higher education and public safety. In fact, higher education will receive no cuts in the House version of the budget. Again, they have faced tremendous cuts in the past couple of years, and we didn't feel it was appropriate to further burden higher education and to take a harder look at our K through 12 public education as a way to save money. K through 12 public education is the #1 budget driver in Virginia's budget, as it is with local budgets. And so they are facing cuts this year, and they are not going to be pleasant cuts at all. But it is time for everyone to dig deep and do the best they can, because at a time like this, another reason we are promoting responsible cuts as a way to balance our budget is because we don't believe in the House of Delegates, Republican leadership at least, that raising taxes at a time like this in our economy is an appropriate way to make up this shortfall. It is simply not right for people in their own lives to be having to make hard choices around their kitchen table about how they're going to spend their money, how they're going to make up their family budgets that may have gone down because of job losses, because of pay cuts, losing benefits, everything you can imagine. It is, I believe, irresponsible for us to try and, as a state government, refuse to do without when so many families around Virginia are doing without and making ends meet. So we believe that appropriate cuts in the various aspects of our state budget is absolutely necessary right now. As I mentioned, public safety and higher education have taken significant cuts in the past couple of years, and we wanted to make sure that there were no further significant cuts to those areas of our budget because they have sacrificed so much in recent times. In fact, we were able to minimize to the greatest degree possible the cuts to law enforcement, which I'm very proud of. I believe public safety is absolutely a core service of government, something we cannot do without. If we don't have public safety, we might as well not have good schools or good roads or anything else, because without the public safety component of our state government, the rest of it doesn't matter too much. So we were able to minimize those cuts in public safety significantly, and I'm very proud of that. Again, ladies and gentlemen, what you should take away from this discussion, and I will be updating you again next week on where we are with the budget process. From here, the House and Senate budgets, as I told you, are out. They are being discussed. They will be compared, and the members of each respective House, both the House and Senate, will get together and decide on how we will craft the final version of our budget. And hopefully we'll get to vote on that here in 2 or 3 weeks. Now, it's very possible that we might not get done on time because of the differences we have. The Senate actually did nothing on car tax relief. We're as far apart on that as you can get. Again, I just believe that we should fulfill our commitments to Virginia's taxpayers, that we should not do anything that effectively amounts to a tax increase on you at a time like this. When so many people are having to sacrifice, the government should likewise be having to do more with less. You're going to hear more about the budget as we go along, and you're going to hear about more about the House's commitment to tax relief, to ensuring that you don't have to pay more at a time like this. I am firmly committed to that, and the House leadership is firmly committed to crafting a responsible budget that does not result in tax increases on you, the Virginia taxpayer. So I look forward to talking to you again next week. In the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to email us here in Richmond at deltgilbert, that's D-E-L-T Gilbert, at house.virginia.gov. And I look forward to talking to you again, and I thank you for your time.